Welcome to Ignite Your Business radio show. Light the match, throw some gasoline on, and buckle up because we're about to take your business to the next level. I'm your host, Josh Wilhelm. You hear about something old, something new, something borrowed, and something blue when preparing for a wedding, but what about the budget? The popular website that is for weddings, The Knot, found that couples in 2019 spent an average of $33,000 total on everything involved with their wedding. That includes everything from the engagement ring, ceremony, even to the reception. Most couples are not planning on reducing their budget anytime soon, but may have big dreams for the day they have been dreaming about forever. Helping someone create their perfect wedding is no easy feat. Event planners need to know which questions to ask and when. They also need to know how to avoid big mistakes. From my own experience, planning a wedding involves a lot of moving pieces. My wife and I were so glad that we brought on a wedding coordinator to make sure that our special day would be amazing and came to the reality of our dreams. The cost of hiring a planner gives you back time, ensures you meet your budget, and helps relieve the stress on the day of the wedding. The perfect planners would be the ones who also know everything about the venue, and sometimes that can be a challenge. Wedding planners may have done a few weddings at that venue in the past, but are usually only on location for a handful of hours. The Farmhouse Siloam offers an ingenious solution of wedding planning by the owners of the venue themselves in a beautiful rustic setting of North Carolina. In true fashion, they have a farmhouse barn and canopy of woods that can create the most memorable bohemian wedding. Farmhouse Siloam is a mother-daughter owned business. In addition to running a business together, the pair also served our country in law enforcement and as a veteran in the United States Army. The Ignite Your Business radio show is proud to introduce Kelleigh and Dee. Kelleigh, I want to first thank you for the service. Also, thank your family. One person's service is oftentimes felt by the whole family, so please hear me when I say thank you. And then Dee, I also want to thank you as well because you serve in a different capacity for serving our great country. You serve and have served more locally here at home as in the police force. So thank you for your service as well.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Oh, you're calling me sir now. I feel like I'm my dad now. So it's okay.
You're about to get pulled over.
That's right. Exactly.
It's going to get bad.
Right.
Yeah, we're going to take it.
All right. Well, Kelleigh and Dee, it is a great pleasure to have you on the show with us today. So welcome. And we're super excited to get into your story and your business and learning more about you guys. So let us dive right into this. First, let's start with tell us a little bit about yourself and what you all do.
I'll let you go first.
As far as the business?
Yes, exactly.
Well, we're like you said, we're a farmhouse. We, bought it in 2015 and flipped it, and took us a year. And so 2016 in July, we had our first wedding. And basically what we do is we try to make this a one-stop shop to where this venue is where they can enjoy the day, they can relax, they don't have to worry about anything. And we just do everything from start to finish, from planning it to setting it up to tearing it down, and try to make it stress-free as possible.
But she is the coordinator and planner, and then I do the tours, and then I'm the work mule the day of, or the day before. So we work together on Friday and get everything, the aisle set and all that jazz. And then day of, we get all the detail work done in the morning, and then she takes on the role of the coordinator, so getting them down the aisle. And then we all come together as a team with our staff, and we finish out the evening strong. So it's more, it's a team effort.
Sure.
If one if one person's missing or they've been quarantined or something like that, we are just like missing a leg, and we're like having to, so it's definitely a lot of moving pieces, and we feel the pain when someone's not here. So we respect and cherish every team member we have.
I would imagine.
This is true.
Yes.
Yeah.
I personally have gone through my one and only wedding, which I will make it my one and only, being committed to obviously my wife, but there's a lot of moving components to a wedding. I mean, just a ton.
People don't realize it.
I mean, and one little thing goes out of whack, it can throw everything off track. So
right.
You guys are in a very stress-free environment, as they say, and I'm just totally kidding about that because that's...
I was going to say, wait a minute. Whoa.
Let me say, I got married here, so I know that we had... I got married here, meaning like when that happened, I married not only the business, but I married my husband because we were like, oh, we do this for a living. We don't need to hire people. And it was so stressful and it was all over the place. And I mean, we walk in here and it's like 2 hours before the wedding and like the ladies are just like having champagne on the couch and just chilling out. Sometimes they've taken their dress off just to relax for a bit. The dudes are outside drinking, you know, throwing cornhole or something. And then I'm like, day of my wedding, we were like trying to get everything together and put it, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, if anyone ever complains that they had a stressful day, it is their personality.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
It is not, we just do everything to where they're literally like, can we help you with something? And you're just like, no, we're good. So that's what we go for. But it's not just the couple, it's the entire family.
Right.
Because weddings are not just, if it was just about the couple, they would elope and call it a day. But it's not. It's a huge family and friends event. So we try to encompass all of that. So we take the stress off of the in-laws and the moms and everyone. So they're just like, I had a good day. Today was fun, you know, so that's what we do.
So, Kelleigh, tell me about the relationship with your mom. Granted, she's sitting right next to you within inches, so you have to be careful what you say, but
real careful.
Exactly.
This could get ugly.
Were you always this close together? Not just physically, but I mean, you know, connected, bonded. Obviously, mom and daughter are usually pretty well connected, but this takes it to a whole nother level. This is the business relationship too. So
that's a great question. I don't think we got that way until I was in my mid-20s, late 20s, after I'd come home from the Navy and then gone to university. It's just because we're both the same personality. And so when you raise a duplicate...
this apple did not fall far from the tree.
So, you know, it developed stronger once I went from Navy to Army and then moved to Fort Bragg. Because in the Navy, I was overseas the whole time.
Right.
I think that was the best because otherwise I wouldn't call her and be like, hey, I think I'm going to resign my commission. Let's go into business. So,
Well, I would imagine you had some growing up to do, just maturing.
Oh, 100%.
And, you know, just you got to forge your own path. And then once you've done that, then you kind of determine like, okay, now I really know what I want. You know, I've been
Are you
down.
Talking about her?
No, I'm saying for both of you.
No,
you're talking about her, right? It's not me.
No, I'm saying for both of you. All right, so let's talk about then the transition. You go about from, you know, the military, law enforcement. So both of you, let's just kind of clarify here. So as we said earlier, Kelleigh, you served in the Army, in the military. Dee, you've served in law enforcement. What is the transition? This is for both of you, so whoever wants to go first, but what's the transition like going from the military to then going into this business, and then Dee, for yourself, going from, you know, law enforcement into, which isn't too far off the difference between military and even local, but there are some differences. You know, there are some obvious differences, but I would imagine some similarities as well.
Relinquishing control is the biggest, and that starts with she and I. That starts with business aspects, and you gotta think when we started acquiring pieces of the property, I should say, like what we're going to outfit things. That trend is not the same as it is now. So it's like, okay, now. Like for me, example, I'm the one out like acquiring pieces most of the time or new decor. And then it's her going, what are you doing? So
True.
And I bring this up as an example because in the military, it usually just stays on trend and then you just go with the flow. So for me, it was learning to stay with the trend and above the game and above our competition so that we can always have a level up. And then also briefing her and letting her know, just as my subordinates before, but it's definitely control. That transition has been still a work in progress, but it's definitely gotten better. Definitely got better. But, it's also like for me, learning how to have done books and holding a stock inventory before. I can do that now. I'm not great at organizing our stock. I'm talking about like acquiring it and keeping it on the books. But, and then delegating tasks down to team members. But for Dee, she's still active. So for her, I always have to remind her, hey, they didn't hire an undercover detective. They hired a wedding planner. So I'm going to need you to take that hat off and, bring it down a scoot. So there you go.
And I appreciate you sharing that because that opens the door. And I wasn't sure exactly what we were allowed to share, what we weren't. So I wanted you guys to be able to forge forward on your story. But just to be clear, Dee, you, as your daughter just stated, in case this was missed by most listening, is that you are active undercover police. Now, I'm not saying active as in right now you're on a case and you are acting as your daughter's mother and all that, all jokes aside.
100%. That's the case.
But you are actually active duty police and you're undercover. If you can share that part as well in answering that same question, which is how do you go, because you are active, you're going from a daily or sometimes yesterday you were doing your day job and then you're running in the next day for being able to help in this business.
Yeah. And it's a transition. Because like I said, during the week, and like Kelly said, my job that I do, like during the week, I'm usually dealing with POSs all week. Okay. And all of a sudden I have to go from dealing with those to, oh my gosh, this is the happiest day of your life. Oh my God. And so that sort of does, it's hard. And it was really super hard when we first started back in 2016, because I was like, how in the crud do I do this? How do I go from, this to that and make everybody feel warm and fuzzy?
Sure.
And Kelly had to call me out numerous times, Mom, you need to remember, this, and I'm like, okay, so I really had to consciously make an effort at it. But what it's done now at this point, since we now have all our transition and our plannings and how we do things down to a fine art, is that it keeps me grounded now, because now I get to deal with the worst of the worst during the week. And then I can go, and on the weekends, I can kind of shut that off and think, good, this is happy. They have graced us with their letting us be a part of one of the happiest days of their lives. And I need to remember that. And, they get it at rehearsal, who's boss. Okay. They get it real quick. But then after that, after getting down the aisle on wedding day, it's all good. You know what I'm saying? It's fun, and in the activities and that type of stuff. So the transition was hard, but it's got a little bit easier because I had to really work hard at it. Of course, then I had, Kelly reminding me every once in a while, Mom, this ain't these people, Mom.
They don't sell drugs. Let's treat them a little nicer.
Exactly. Well, and just to be clear on something that you said earlier on in your answer was, you use a terminology POS that is not just constrained to the police department. That is a universal term that indicates piece of, well, just nicely for conversation's sake, junk. Mm-hmm. It's a universal term that you're referring to, not just a police acronym that you're describing there. But it's interesting that you talk about, and it just dawned on me that you're absolutely correct. You're dealing with, in your day-to-day job, if you call it that you deal with someone's probably some of their lowest times of their life. The interaction that you're having with them is when they're at their lowest. Then you flip over, have to change gears and change mindset and all that, to dealing with what most consider the happiest day of their life.
Right.
So it's such a like an extreme from one side to the other. I mean, you're talking about. I don't think you can get much more extreme than that, other than maybe if you guys turn part of your facility into a mortuary or something like that. That might be the
gun range.
Yeah, something. But yeah, that's
Josh, do not give this child any ideas, please.
I apologize.
Gun range in the
should.
back of the barn.
There you go. All right. Well, we've just struck the match with Dee and Kelleigh and their story. So don't go anywhere. When we come back from this short break, we're going to talk about their business. So stay tuned. And we're back with Kelleigh and Dee from Farmhouse Siloam. All right, so you have experienced a lot of growth since starting your business. Let's hear about how you took your business